Hey guys, and welcome to my first challenge video for Civilization 5. Now, I'm going to do a challenge that I found pretty interesting. I found it on the Civilization 5 subreddit, and basically what it entails is selecting Germany, and using their unique ability, which is whenever they defeat a barbarian unit inside of an encampment, there's a chance that I can recruit that unit. And I'm basically going to exploit this unique ability to convert a barbarian army in order to take my first city. Now, the basic tenet of the challenge is that I am not able to actually settle any cities or recruit any units from any cities, so my starting settler will be basically worthless. And yeah, let's give this a shot. I am doing Pangea Plus with Marathon Speed. Now, Marathon Speed will be really good because it'll slow down the technological advancement of my enemy civilizations that I'll be fighting against. This will also allow me basically to have a chance, so to speak, considering I will not be making any scientific progress when I'm completing this challenge. So we're going to start off using the settler actually as kind of a means of scout to kind of find out and see where the barbarian encampments are. It's absolutely important that I convert as many of these barbarians as I can into my army to actually have a fighting chance at... Oh, there we go, that's a gray screen. By the way guys, my Civilization screens are pretty screwed up. I've been editing the configuration files in Civilization to try to get rid of some of the user interfaces that variously pop up in my Civilization deathmatch videos, so if you see any gray screens that pop up, that's just where the normal Civilization leader will talk to you, but it's a little bit glitched out, but this shouldn't actually impact my gameplay in any way. Now, we found our first encampment here with my settler that I have no longer any use for, but this is an opportunity for me to get my first barbarian recruit, and we'll see how this goes. Basically, if you're trying to attempt this challenge, it seems like it will be a lot of sitting and waiting as you wait for your unit to recover its health. And it might take a few tries actually, because I've heard this challenge is pretty difficult. You'll notice that I'm not making any scientific progress in the top left of my screen. There are no beakers, and pretty much no way to research technology since I don't have a city. So the early game might be a little bit slow. What I'm thinking about doing is kind of fast forwarding through this process right here of me kind of recruiting a barbarian army. So I'll go ahead and do that, and yeah, we'll see how that goes. So now we're running at triple time speed. Kind of give you guys a little bit of idea of how I did this. I just recruited my first barbarian unit by taking over the barbarian encampment, and what's actually interesting about this challenge is that your unique ability as Germany will not always trigger when you capture an encampment. It's actually, I believe, a 66% chance. So basically what that entails is luck. This challenge is all about luck. It's all about converting as many barbarians as you can before your opponents, before the enemy civilizations or city-state that you would like to take over for your capital becomes technologically advanced enough to fight back, so to speak. And in practical terms, on Marathon, this basically means that you really probably want to take a city before turn 200, considering the AI will start pumping out composite bowmen and spearmen and all sorts of nasty things. So this run through, I'm really hoping to kind of get a leg up on the AI. And now, as you can see, I've uncovered the Netherlands and see where their capital is. But it seems to me that with a defense of, I believe, 16, it's a bit too tricky to capture. So in the meantime, when I'm looking around for more barbarian encampments to convert into my army, I'm going to be keeping an eye out for weaker cities, and as you can see, I just saw Montezuma's unit, which is probably not a very good thing, considering Montezuma is a warmongering civ, and might have the ability to fight back. if I was to take his city as my capital. And basically, I will be paying the iron price for everything I do, in the lingo of Game of Thrones. What I mean by that is that I will not be buying or producing any units in this run-through. I will simply be taking things by force, and that's basically the crux of this entire challenge. It would be really easy if I were to be able to settle a city by myself or produce any units by myself, but we're not looking for easy. We're looking for something that's pretty challenging, and I figured this would be a pretty cool and interesting challenge to kind of show to you guys today. As you can see, there is Montezuma's capital, and I just came into contact with, I believe, Morocco. More and more barbarian encampments are there. That's great. It seems that the AI pretty much ignores the barbarian encampments for the time being, which is great. More barbarians for me. And I'm actually splitting up my main force into several different parts to scout for more barbarian encampments. So this way I can kind of recruit more and more units at a time, instead of putting my entire army into just one main attack force looking around. This is more productive. And I'm currently sitting at 4 units, which is not bad, but with a city defense of at least 8 or 10, it's not going to be possible with 4 melee units. So I'm really looking to try to get at least 6 or 7, and maybe I'll get lucky and even get an archer as well. That would definitely help. But so far, there are no archers, because the game is still in its very early stages. As you can see, we're still in 3000 BC. And, oh, nope, there's an archer right there. And, like I said, it would be very, very fortuitous if we could take an archer. But in order to take an archer, it actually has to be in the barbarian encampment itself, since my unique ability only allows me to take units that are sitting on the barbarian encampment. So unluckily for us, or unluckily for me I should say, that has not been the case so far. But my army is steadily growing. As you can see, we have about 6 units now, and pretty soon we'll be strong enough to be able to take on... At this point I'm going to go with the Netherlands, just because Montezuma is a bit further away, and they just plopped down a very juicy city with only 8 defense. Well, it looks like it's fluctuating. And it's a pretty easy target, I'm not going to lie. I've seen that most of the people who have done this challenge opt to go for a city-state, but as far as I could see, that's not actually a requirement for this challenge, so we're going to go with the path of least resistance. As you can see, Buenos Aires is over there on the west, but they're protected by a narrow isthmus, it would seem, or a narrow peninsula. So I'm not going to really bother taking them because it results in too many of my units dying, and because I can't produce any units with this challenge, each of my units is very, very important, and I'm going to want to try to save all of the units that I have and reduce as much casualties as I can, as possible. And you might wonder, well, I've got warriors. How am I going to upgrade these if I can't produce units? Well, once I take a city, I'll be able to start producing science, and with that science I'll be able to take certain technologies, and once I achieve these technologies I can actually upgrade my units within my territory. So basically, once I get a city, if I get a city at this point, let's be honest, I'll pretty much be delegating those cities' productions into either making gold, science, or buildings, because of the constraints of this challenge. Now, I made up my mind that I'm going to go for Rotterdam, and I've chosen this target for a few reasons. One, because it's relatively isolated and I can surround my units around it, and 2, it has only 8 defense, and this is the most important part. I think we can all agree that the capital is simply too strong with 17 defense. So let's see how this goes. Now unfortunately, because I only have melee units, I might take quite a bit of casualties here, but I hope not. And I'm going to actually slow down the speed to normal speed and declare war on William. It seems to me that he only has 1 defensive unit, as the Netherlands generally isn't too much of a defensive or militaristic state. He's probably busy scouting on the other side of the world, which means that it's a great time to attack very, very lucky here. As you can see, he has absolutely no defense here. So I'm going to surround the city with my units, taking a few casualties across the river. But like I said earlier, my goal is not to take any casualties whatsoever if I can avoid them. And it looks like I got this in the bag. I'm not going to lie. So far, so good. As you can see, the damaged units I'm going to heal with the promotion. And it looks like I've got Rotterdam next turn, it would seem. And Rotterdam will become the capital of the German Empire. It's not a very good location, I'll be honest with you guys, but it's a city. And this challenge basically means that I have to have a city eventually to upgrade my units. So what better city than Rotterdam? Now, I'm going to end the challenge, or part 1 of the challenge here, but I will continue part 2 in my next video, so stay tuned if you enjoyed this.